Hello, good day. Today we're going to discuss the literary device theme. And specifically, we will identify how to look for a theme in poetry. Theme is defined as a main idea or an underlying meaning of a literary work. It could be stated indirectly or directly. Through themes, writers give readers an insight into how the world works. It gives them an understanding of how the writers view human life and experiences. Here are the common examples of themes. Abstract notions or ideas like love, courage, death are themes. However, a work of fiction or a poetry always has a specific stand about an idea. So, for example, in one poetry, it could describe love as beautiful, and another poetry would describe love as destructive. So, they have varying definitions and descriptions of love. On one hand, um, it has a beautiful connotation, and the other one has a negative connotation. Similarly, it's easy to identify courage as a theme, but we have to look at what type of courage or what is about courage that is being explored in that specific poetry. So, for example, one poetry could describe courage as something that stems from safe environment. Safe environment fosters courage. But it is also possible that within that poetry, there's also an explanation or there are also stanza that explains the opposite. Harsh circumstances make a person courageous. So it is possible that within one body of work, there are two descriptions, two explorations of the various pathways of courage. So that's also possible. So we have to identify this specific idea. It could be more than one, as we have seen in this example. Likewise, death as a theme is very common, but there are poetry that actually describes death as something that is freeing. You will be able to read poetry that talks about during war, for example, sometimes death becomes a way to escape the difficulty, the terror of war. Or for someone who is old and wise, death is nothing but a second adventure. So death can be freeing. But there are a lot of poetry that talks about death being hell. Death as something that eats that eats the persons, that eats people alive. So death could be defined in various ways. Death can be freeing, death is hell. It is our responsibility to identify the specific idea that is being discussed within a poetry. And in the poetry, we trace the themes through literary or poetic devices such as imagery, symbolism, alliteration, onomatopoeia, etc. Let us have an example to know how to identify a theme. So, for example, this is a love song for Lucinda by Langston Hughes. Let's read it. Love is a ripe plum. Taste it once, and the spell of its enchantment will never let you be. Obviously, the general theme is love. However, if we pinpoint it, there are two almost conflicting definitions of love. Love is irresistible and it has a positive connotation to it. But enchantment, the word enchantment, seems to evoke a picture of a witch. So, on one hand, love is also bewitching, and it has a negative connotation that is associated with it. So, love is irresistible, or love is bewitching. This is the theme, these are the themes of one short poetry. Yes, you could have varying themes, varying main ideas. How do you know that your interpretation is correct? If it is based on the details of the poetry that you just read. Let's have another example. This one is another very short poetry by Ezra Pound and the station of a metro. The apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bow. Again, we see man, not just man, but man, vis-a-vis nature. Man versus nature. Or man as a society, because it says metro. So, if we look at it, we have very specific themes such as humans are small in society, right? These streams of people, right, actually look like a petal, just a petal. So humans are small in society. So it has a kind of demeaning, disempowering notion associated with it. But on the other hand, we could also read it differently and we say that human society is part of nature. And it becomes empowering. It asserts that even though we may become metropolitan, human society may become metropolitan, mechanized, systematized, it remains a part of nature. And why did we read that and how did we arrive in that interpretation? When we look at the second line, petals on a wet black bow, there is a mention of petal. It evokes a feeling of being part of nature. So two specific themes that we can get from this very short poem are these ones. Okay, so if you want to know more about literary devices, the theme, I suggest you check out these references. And you check out also the other works of these poets. Alright, so very simply, that is how we identify a theme in poetry. I hope that that has helped you. And don't forget to remember the pointers that I've discussed in this video when you're identifying the theme of the poetry and when you're analyzing this poetry. My name is Herbal Santiago. I'm a teacher. I'm also a writer. And I create video lessons so that it will be easier for people to understand language and literature. For more of these video lessons, please click the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Have a good day ahead of you. Bye!